Hi, and welcome back to Seeing Dementia Differently. My name is Cece, and for today's amazing carers conversation, we are joined by the lovely Betty. Betty's mum, Sarah, was diagnosed with primary progressive aphasia, a rare form of dementia. So, Betty, would you like to tell us a little bit more about the diagnostic journey and how you ended up with the PPA diagnosis?
Hi everyone. Yes, my name is Betty, and yeah, my mum Sarah has had the illness for coming up to well, she got diagnosed in my twenties, in her twenties, in my twenties, and so I think it's coming up to about 6 years that it's been at the forefront because, as we all know, dementia always starts off very like small, doesn't it? It trickles down and it escalates. So yeah, so it's been about coming up to 6 years of her since the diagnosis happened. And it essentially started because, like I said, you notice small things, but I think
Yeah.
her workplace picked it up more because she'd start doing things as in like forgetting to log herself out. She worked at Boots factory, so it was quite important that she knows her bearings and everything.
Yeah.
So yeah, her team leader, manager person was able to pick that up quite quickly because I'd moved out by then as well. And when I called her and stuff, she'd always be like quite blasé about stuff. So I didn't really take it seriously until yeah, when they got in touch with me about it. And that was about 8 years before, like from now. And then it's taken us a couple of years to get the diagnosis, and here we are today.
Mm. And so, how old was your mum when she was diagnosed?
So Sarah was diagnosed, my mom, she was diagnosed, I believe, at 49,
So
49, I believe.
very young, a young onset rare form of dementia, not just a rare form of dementia, which, there's so many more complications and challenges there. Because as you say, you've moved out at that point. It's hard to know, it's hard to touch base when you're not around the person to see what the smaller changes are that are happening. And so I'm wondering, did you identify at all with the word carer throughout the kind of beginning of this process? Or since you're a bit more of a distance, did it feel like just trying to figure out what was going on and sort of helping out?
In the beginning, I feel as if I associated more with the word carer because having to deal with like the logistics of things, so like moving into a care home, taking care of her in the initial beginning, especially being quite hands-on. And like regards to personal care and small things, but she'd be quite proud as well, just being like, "Oh, I've got this," but I'm like, "No, you don't." So
Yeah.
I associate more with the word carer there because I was trying to like just feel like I always thought carer as someone who's always there, sort of thing. And I think since she's been moved to the care home and she does have that more one-to-one care, and I visit more instead of actually like take like physically doing anything. It's one of those where now I don't necessarily associate with the word care, but I still do things for her. So I know that having had our conversations, like even things like I still take her toiletries to her like every week. Get her new clothes, change her summer clothes to winter, winter to summer. Get her like decorate her room and stuff like that. So I always don't I don't I think I struggled after she moved to the care home because I was like I felt not like a bit like a fraud, but I just thought that it has to be really hard to be a carer. Like it has to be like physically and mentally demanding all the time. When she moved to the care home, I was able to breathe a bit. So I was like, felt quite guilty. But then having our conversations and also um coming across a lot of material that you provide and resources, I obviously understand that I still am a carer because I am her only person as well. So I think in that way, it's it's given me a sense of like empowerment in a way to like reclaim it back with just as another form.
Yeah, I think that's true for a lot of carers actually, that you have this feeling when they're no longer under, your roof or you're kind of doing all of the personal care as well, that you feel, yeah, a bit like, well, I can't refer to myself as a carer anymore because I'm not the one doing all of the caring, but emotional caring is still caring. Being there to help the person, like you said, taking them their toiletries, making sure that her wardrobe stays updated, being there to enjoy the quality time, all of that contributes to somebody's well-being. And we can easily overlook it, but I definitely think that it still deserves, the title of carer. And it is something to be proud of because it's not an easy job to do. And do you feel that throughout this, I know you've obviously said that you kind of had a change in relationship with the word carer, but do you feel like there was a point in which your relationship with Sarah really changed?
So regarding my relationship with her, so as a child, I mentioned it to like family and stuff, and friends that when I was a kid, I was close with my mom. And then when I became a teenager, just start having like the mum daughters struggles of
Yeah,
silly things, don't you? You just start butting heads.
definitely.
But the older I got and the more she saw me as a person, not just a child, it was easier to like navigate that. And we started having like a really nice friendship. And then when I moved out, we were really good and stuff. And it was just unfortunate that that's when she started getting her illness like really badly, it started happening from there. So it sort of felt like obviously the time was robbed in a way,
Yeah,
like oh, it would never come back because you're just thinking, we finally have that bond that been trying to build and navigate for years. So that was quite difficult and trying to accept that I only had that little window of time, which was only a few months really before it all like sort of skyrocketed. Um, and then in regards to after that as well. It's one of those where it's like you sort of put your feelings aside, don't you? You just want to firstly just get them safe and make sure that
yeah,
they're well taken of, and you just like emotionally detached, don't you? And it's taken me a while because she's obviously been the same, but in the sense of like from when she started getting poorly to how she is now, it's completely difficult to communicate in any shape, way, or form now. I think we're heading towards the later stages.
right.
And it's one of those where it's like she's been in the same in the sense of like a happy, whimsical bubble. And I've had to navigate my own feelings through therapy or talking about things, especially and Lego. I've developed a keen, fun sense of Lego. So just doing things
Excellent.
like that. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's just been interesting trying to navigate this shift in relationship.
Yeah, I actually think that there's something you've just touched on there that I was always reflecting on the other day. And of course, you said, your mum was diagnosed when you were in your 20s. For me, dad was diagnosed when I was 11. I wasn't caring for him until a few years after that. But that sense of feeling robbed of the time that you were supposed to have together, but also of almost key parts of being able to form your identity. Because these are very crucial years in you growing up and finding yourself. And then, dementia comes and takes a role in your life, and it becomes very hard to do both of those things simultaneously. So I think
Yeah.
there's something really beautiful about, as you've said, finding Lego. For me, I've gotten quite into like cross stitch and just like activities that I used to do when I was a kid, but haven't done in ages. And I think there's something about finding that almost childlike joy in your day to day to help get through it is very, very important.
It's very empowering, isn't it? It's just so surreal because I feel like when you look back at yourself as a child, you're just thinking you didn't have known what was going to happen. And obviously the
Yeah.
person you are now does know that. So it's just like a way of like I said, nurturing that. And it's beautiful that or sad, but nice that you also can relate to that because it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, something about doing something childish and just like childlike that's really comforting to the soul.
Definitely. I think we don't let ourselves have enough fun these days. Everyone's so
Yeah.
busy working, and there is a lot of heavy stuff happening in the world. So I think it's important to try and find the moments of sunshine within that, definitely. The diagnosis was primary progressive aphasia. How much information were you given around that specifically at the time? And how much did you have to try and learn and build up yourself?
So I did not have much knowledge of it at all, to be fair.
Yeah.
And when Sarah was first diagnosed, they were either saying that it's PPA, primary progressive aphasia, or it's FTD, frontal temporal
Dementia.
I forgot, dementia. I
Yeah.
forgot because clearly now we've maneuvered into PPA. But in the beginning, they weren't too sure because of her age, and people would have probably seen that with PPA. It's like I said, very language based as well. So because she had little bits of things to do language, they didn't want to just classify her in either or the two.
Sure.
So I was just given those options. But then as things have gone on, that's when I looked more into both of them, and PPA definitely suits her,
Yeah.
because that is literally her to a T in a way. And there was no, but yeah, the resources weren't really great. Even when you go on things like Alzheimer's or Alzheimer's Society, yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Alzheimer's
if you go on
Society.
yeah, if you go and stuff like that, it's very much just like the umbrella term, isn't it? Everything, or it's always catered towards like the older population, and you're like, what about the younger folk? They're out
Exactly.
here.
Yeah,
Oh,
I don't think I've ever had anyone come on the Carers Conversation series or that I've met in person who says, yeah, we were given amazing resources and loads of help immediately. It's always that you've got to do a ton of digging first. I mean, some
yeah.
people are very lucky that they get a neurologist or a doctor who just so happens to be connected with the right groups and links them in. But I feel like nine out of 10 times that is just not the case for people, which is really unfortunate.
When you're in that space as well, you just want like answers, and you don't want to be Googling everything because it
No.
leads to a dark tunnels, doesn't it? So you just want to have everything there, and it's just annoying how like I said, we get overlooked, don't we, people who have early onset dementia because it's like, or people who care for them who have that, because it's just like screaming at a wall, isn't it? You're just like, I'm already going through so much. And when you look at, like you said, the person who does have it, who is a parent of yours, you're just thinking, you're not meant to be clearly like these pamphlets or leaflets that they're
Yeah.
showing. Like they're 40, 50 years old or whatever, then you're just like, this isn't this isn't right.
It's not matching up. You feel like you don't fit in with the services, and that feeling
No.
of isolation that was there at the beginning, it just gets bigger and bigger. Thank you so much for watching this episode of Carers Conversations. Make sure that you don't forget to check out part 2 of our interview with Betty, so head to our YouTube channel now.